What is going on, YouTube? Zero Lead here, back again with a new video, episode 10 of the Disco Era USS Enterprise tutorial. Just want to thank you very much again for checking out today's video. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Definitely appreciate that. So we are going to be continuing on right where we left off from episode 9. We had just finished deleting our old ring that we had from the where we stopped at, and now we're going to replace that with the correct thickness. One out, making sure that this lines up with this line towards the front. And not a super long video today, only going to be about 37 minutes or so. Should be a quick one. We're moving right along here, trying to get our lower hull wireframed out. It's no easy task, but it can definitely be done. Just takes a little bit of time and care, and possibly deleting things. But we'll do what we have to do. So as you can see, we did our left side. So what we do on the left, we're going to do that again on the right. We're going to bang this out. Just making sure that's right. And that'll be to the last one. Okay. And we're going to do the lower side now. Get rid of that access. Alright, so let's bang out the lower left side now. Perfect. Should be one gap. Perfect. And let's do the lower right. Repeating that same process again. And I believe this is going to be 2. And you can see right there, I didn't make that long enough. That's okay, we'll fix that right now. Get rid of that for now. Want to look at a clean wireframe, don't want any lines there accidentally messing us up. We're going to get rid of that also. We will technically fill this in at one point, but for just right now, want to look at it clean, because I'm trying just to see, make sure that our line work is correct and that it's going to work with what we're trying to do. See, now it's good that we added this extra row here, because what we're trying to avoid is right here. If we didn't add in this extra lip coming out, there would be this huge wall right here. And this is what we're trying to get rid of, the 2 to 3 high wall that's going to be sticking out. So we're blending that in by adding in just this extra row coming out. And if you need to fast forward through the video to a later point, feel free to do so. Right now, moving back towards the tutorial, I'm just looking at the side of our lower hull, checking on what I've done, and seeing what else I want to do at the moment to try and get this angle correct. I think for right now, this is pretty solid what we have going on here. And in fact, if wanted to, we can close this up, and if we really wanted to, I think that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to close this up because I know that this is not going to change. Alright, we're going to bang out this right side. And let's just go ahead and do this whole side. Last row. Alright, so we got the right side done. Now we're going to repeat that same process again on the left side. Let's see where we got about just under a half hour to go. Moving right along, just getting the front of our lower hull closed in. And we're starting to cook now. Okay. So we're going to get the lower side done. There's a couple of gaps there. Let's close that up. And we'll do the bottom. Alright, we're looking good. Let's zoom out and take a look at our front of our lower hull, the first time with the closed-in hull. Now see, that looks pretty good. That has the curve that we want right here in the front. That looks darn good. Now what do we want to do next? Well, I know we're going to have to cut in one. So let's go ahead and add a ring going all the way around from where we left off in one. So essentially add in an inner lip, not an outer. That access, and then we're going to do the same thing on the right side, adding in our inner lip. Get rid of that access. Alright, let's get the top part done. I'm basically just seeing if I want to have it cut in right now, or if I want to bring it back further. But here's the thing. You don't want to bring it back too far, because then you're definitely going to have a box look on the side, and it's not going to look textured in, and it's not going to look textured at all. And this is why I'm coming over to the Enterprise right now to see kind of where I cut in at. Because you can only really get away with having a flat line here for so long before it starts to look bad. I don't think I like that. And you know, this is a good thing about just putting a template line on there, you know, getting an idea of what it's going to look like without putting a ton of work into it. So you can see why we only did the one row rather than having it be 3 deep. It's easier to make it one, just a thickness of 1, and look at it and see if that's where we want the cut at, basically. So I know that up here I don't want to bring it in, but the lower part we might need to leave that there. But I don't know if I need to start the cut there or not, or if we need to take it further back. So we're going to mess with that. We're going to try to do that, continue on this upper part by 1, and leave the lower part of our ring there and see if that looks good, or if it's too soon to start that curve on the lower half. Remember, feel free to fast forward if need be. We're doing this whole build in real time, so there are brief moments where I am going to be sitting here and just looking at the build. I apologize for that, but sometimes that is just the best thing to do, is just to sit here and look at the thing and think about what you want to do just before you rush into it and build something, because it will save you from making a ton of mistakes. So what I'm thinking here is that maybe I might bring that hull down to almost where the neck ends, in just the upper part. We might have to end up doing it to the lower as well, because I don't think that I need to start that cut that soon on the lower end, on the belly of the lower hull. So that line does give me some type of idea of what I want to do, and give you an idea too, because you know, once you start really getting into building a lot of these ships, after you've built a couple of them, you can start to visualize in your head how those lines are going to turn out. So again, that's kind of just what we're doing right now, just trying to visualize in our head if this is going to come out the way I want it to. That's something that you definitely will not see on my ships. I do not like having a shaved down look to give it that wooden look that you see on so many of these ships that people will build, or it looks like it's computer generated. Everything on my ships from beginning to end is a pattern that I've come up with by hand on the fly as we were doing the ship. But that is a lot of the secret to it. And I'm sure you've probably noticed this by now, is that when I start building something out, I'm not following a blueprint, but I'm still following a pattern, if that makes sense. Because you notice, like with the lower hull, how the saucer is, there's a pattern to follow, and how you can cut in with it. And once you've done enough of these, you'll start to see that pattern and kind of how you can shape it out. So you can put 1 or 2 lines here or there to get an idea of your proportions. It'll definitely save you time from having to delete stuff extensively. But like I said, there are 1 or 2 points in here, not in this episode, I believe it's episode 11 or 12, where I basically rebuilt the lower hull of the belly twice before I came up with what I wanted. But I want to show you guys what I did, just so you can see maybe what to avoid. Because I'm not saying what my build is the best way to do it. I'm sure that there are people out there that have far prettier enterprises than I do. This is just what works best for me. And I still get a lot of detail out of it, because that's really the most important part, is that looking at the ship, there's no doubt about it what you're looking at. And my main goal, at least on the outside of it, Especially any angle that you're looking at, I don't want it to look funny. In other words, where it doesn't look right. So that again comes into doing your research and just getting those extra pictures of the Enterprise that you can find. The more references that you have, the better. And I'm just trying to get an idea and seeing if that length, if I can get away with it. Now, I think that might be okay. Anything longer than this, I think we'd be up the creek and it wouldn't look right. It's almost a border where it doesn't look right, but right there, after adding in detailing on the hull at a later point, I think that'll look fine and nobody will bat an eye at it and say that it's too long or it's too flat there. I think that once we have the rest of the outside hull done and it starts curving in, it's going to look really, really nice. Alright, so let's go ahead and close in what we just added on the top part. We're doing it on the right, and then we're going to repeat that again on the left. I'm going to bring this, count down with me, see how far down I go. We're going to bring it down just past the halfway point, but you can see I'm stopping before I curve in. So if you go to the bottom where it's flat on the sides, we bring this line all the way down. Have it match up at the left. And if need be, feel free to, like I can't even talk to, rewind backwards to see how many that was. I don't know if this is going to look right. I can always delete it if I need to. Starting to bring in the left side where we have the lip cutting in, having that line up with our upper section of the hull. But obviously it's one end, so they're not going to connect. There's going to be a tiny one foundation or one single block gap between them because we're cutting in on the lower half. Whole purpose of this is I just want to see how the cut is starting to look on the lower hull. This might look good, this might not. We might have to redo it, but if we have to redo it, then we'll do what we have to do. So I keep saying on this build that there is no limit on the episodes. I'm going to continue this series and every specific thing that I'm currently building until we get it right, or at least how I want it. So my goal here is to come up with something cool, and hopefully people watching the video enjoy this, maybe they learn something, and they have a little bit of fun in the process. Alright, so we're moving on to the right side of the lower hull of the belly. We're just filling in the inner cut that we added, and then we're going to zoom out and look at that and see if that excuse me. And we're going to zoom out afterwards and see what that looks like and see if that looks right or not. Yeah, that's right. Okay, last two. And let's take a look. Now that doesn't look too bad. Let's see where we're about. We're starting to creep in on the end of episode 10. We got about 12 minutes left of the build. Creeping along here. But we're getting there. We are making progress on the lower hull. Doesn't feel like it, but we're definitely making progress. I will say this, though. It's not going to be a 9 or 10 part episode getting the lower hull done. It will go a lot faster than the saucer section. But again, there was so much prep work to do on the saucer section alone. It really required that detail that we're going to utilize that later on in the build just to make a lot of things easier on us. Anyway, switching gears right back into what we're doing right now, just zooming around the ship, get an idea of my proportions, seeing if what I did on this lower cut in, if this looks right or not. Because this is the other thing too, this is not the Star Trek Beyond Enterprise, so it doesn't have that cone shape that the lower portion of the hull has. It's very ovally kind of, and the way it cuts in and upwards on the lower half of the belly leading up into the shuttle bay. I mean, it's a pretty unique arch, and like I said, that was one of the things I did have trouble with on here, but I did get it right. But it took me 3 attempts to get it right. So hopefully when we get to that point in the tutorial, you guys will appreciate the work that was put into it. Let's see. And we'll do a straight line right there, going straight across to close that gap. We're going to put a staircase underneath that to make it blend in. So it won't be a too wide gap right underneath that where we filled in on the outside of it. I don't think we're going to do that now. That'll be later on. But there'll definitely be an upside down staircase that we're going to put right here going all the way down to make that blend in a little bit better. And what do you know, we're just going to go ahead and do that now. I messed up on one, we'll fix that. You see how the staircase is upside down. You want to make sure that it is, because otherwise you're not going to get that illusion. But see, that looks great now. So we can get away with going inwards too on the lower side, but not on the upper. So this way we can kind of start to have an arch on the lower part of the belly, but we're really not getting that aggressive. It's not going to be cutting upwards like it should just yet. We still have to go a little bit further back before we start the arch, I think. But I think that looks pretty good. Now that I added the stairs, it totally blends in seamlessly, doesn't it? It looks very good. I just wish that they had, and I don't understand, as old as Minecraft is, why they don't have stairs and a half slabs in multicolors, in concrete and everything else like they do with the full single blocks. Because I know that I see it all the time that people have been asking Mojang to add it. For whatever reason, they haven't. The day that they do that, um, I'll be very excited. The only thing that they can do more than that that would make me happy on here is if they added slope slabs. That would be really cool. Um, and then, I mean, if they just wanted to make my day, they could release the Super Duper HD texture pack. That was actually one of the reasons why I stopped playing Minecraft for such a long time, because when they announced the Super Duper HD texture pack, I was so excited for that. I loved how it was going to make the world just look and everything, and I don't like how they treated the community over that. You know, they didn't respect us enough to even say, hey, you know, we broke the build that we have is broken. It's not going to work. We're just not going to put it out. I honestly would have taken that over just silence to the point of people assuming that it's not coming out. And I think that somebody at Mojang eventually got tired of getting asked and confirmed on Twitter that it isn't coming out now. And that's a shame. I mean, it really is. That texture pack, it would have brought new life to Minecraft. And it's a little aggravating because you see they have Minecraft Dungeons out now, and it seems like a lot of that super duper HD texture pack might have went into that game instead. Um, so if they ever do add that, that would be really cool. But anyway, enough of that rant about what I'm pissed off about with the game. Now we're cutting inward on our tutorial on, and we did it on the left side on the upper half, and now we're doing it on the right. We're gonna bang the rest of that out. And we got about 5 minutes left. We're starting to wind down a little bit more. And let me get that one block there. And do the right side also. And you know we'll do two. And don't forget that upper block right there. Alright, boom. Sweet. Let's zoom out a little bit and take a look at that. Yeah, see, and that's looking good too because that's kind of like matching up with where the neck is ending at. So it feels like that's a natural part where that would blend at. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and close off the hull on the upper section over lower half of the hull. Alright, let's take a look. I think that's looking pretty good. You know, I said, feels like we still backtrack just a little bit to get to this point, but sometimes we got to do what we got to do to get it where we want it to look, and I think that we're really starting to convey that shape of the lower hull. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So, excuse me. Without delaying it any further, I think that's going to wrap up episode 10. We got quite a bit done in the last several builds. We're moving quite along here. Before you know it, we're going to be working on our pylons, and then we're going to be working on our engines, and from there we'll be adding in our corridors in the saucer section and starting to close that off and get all that done, and we'll be doing the interiors, and we've still got quite a bit to do on here. A ton to do, 1,000,001 things. But I think that is going to wrap up episode 10. I do want to thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps me out. And I will see you tomorrow. Please tune in for episode 11. I hope everybody has a great day.